Hey all, welcome to Parker's Reefs. In today's episode, I just thought I'd give you a bit of an update on where all my tanks are, both the ones that are running and the ones that are just about to be set up. So let's get into it. Alright, so here we are in my fish room and it's a fair mess at the moment. I've got the Idiotproof reef tank running, I've got my large Frag tank running, I've got my clown harem tank running, and over that corner there's my soft coral tank running. And in full disclosure, none of them are running all that great, except for maybe the soft coral tank. That thing just pumps along no matter what you do to it, so it's running pretty good. But the other tanks are doing what they need to do for now, I guess. And starting off with the Idiotproof reef tank here. Now, the camera doesn't have a filter or anything on it, so it's probably not going to show the colouring all that well, but it has lost a little bit of colour, and that I'm putting down to some instability in this tank. I've been testing a range of lights, including the Max Spec Jump LED that's on there now. I've had a Kessel A80, a Kessel A360X, a Philips Coral Care Gen 2, and now a Max Spec Jump LED on this tank. So it's had a whole heap of changes onto it, and in fairness, I'm absolutely blasting the light out of it. So it's seen better days, but it's still going. You see, ironically, the hammers and torches and things are still looking pretty good, even the leathers and that. The SBS frags up here have lost a little bit of colour, but you know, as long as they're not white, they'll come back. Now, I might switch over to my large frag tank, which ironically doesn't really have any frags in it. It is pretty much just a holding tank for my fish at the moment, and it's doing just fine. I mean, the corals aren't doing all that well in there, but they never really were. These corals are kind of just chucked in here just to give the fish something to look at and pick at, because my chubby little angel in there he is down there, loves to nip at corals, and I don't know what he'd do if he didn't have coral to eat, so got to make sure he gets plenty of coral. But that's Prius, my hybrid angel. He's a tiger page. I've got a bunch of chromis in there. I've got my fox face back there, Colin. He's been with me a long time. My purple tang prince. He's a little bit harder to see. That cheeky little bugger there, that's Harley, my hogfish. He will be one fish that does not go into my new tank. I'm not a fan of him. Yeah, we've got some flame hawks here. There's my male, that's Buddy. Not sure where Jacinta is at the moment, the female. Oh, there she goes. She's just down there. The angel just chased her away. And last but not least, it's going to be a little bit hard to see there behind the algae, but I've got a filefish in this tank, which is just making sure there's no aptasias or pretty much any other coral life in here at the moment. These guys are all doing well. I was a little bit worried about them in the changeover to this tank, but they've settled in pretty well. I mean, considering they've gone from a completely different tank into this, with not really any rock work, much smaller water volume, different flow, different light. They've all settled in pretty well. There's a little bit of assertion for dominance like you saw with the angel just before, but no one's going to pick on that guy. He's a big chubby bugger, so you get that, and he was getting pretty grumpy in the main display tank before we shut it down, so you know, all's well ends well. I must say the Max Spec Jump skimmer has been in this tank now for about a month, and it's just continuing to produce really nice skimmate. You can see beautiful frothy dark mixture there, which is always good to see. It's producing quite a lot, and I have to empty that every few days, despite it being so dark. It's actually quite a wet skim, so it's doing really, really well. Now, over to this tank, and this is my least appealing tank, but it is what it is. This is my clown harem tank that is not doing the best. My clown, these guys, believe it or not, despite the difference in sizes, are all from the one clutch. These clowns, I started off with 30 in here, and once they got to about 4 years old, they started getting very, very aggressive with each other, so I've had to absolutely pump the food into that tank, and I know it doesn't look like there's 30 clowns in there now. We do still have about 22 in there. Have lost a few through aggression, but the parameters in this tank are just shocking because I just pump so much food in there, but all in all, it's doing okay. The clowns are doing their thing. I've just got an A360X on there at the moment, just because, why not? And last but not least is my soft coral tank, and this one's just going from, just keeps doing its thing. I was going to say from strength to strength, but it's always like this. Even when I moved it, it only sulked for about a week or two, and then it came back nice and strong. The anemones I keep upsetting. I tip that rock upside down so they're all on the bottom, and then when they come up, I end up with some more pups. So there's one in there, and there's a couple in here. I'll be taking them down to my local fish shop to sell to some other people soon. My candy cans were doing great in there till that anemone decided to sting them. Even my SBS and the Dallas is doing just fine. You see the green rhodactis are loving life. My cat thinks it's pretty cool. He wants to get out of here, so I better let him out. Probably the only other thing I should mention is that I've had a switch over to Aquaforest Reef salt. That pretty much came when the announcement of stage 4 lockdown was going to happen. I figured I'd better stock up on some salt because I wasn't sure on the availability of natural salt water. So I've switched over to Aquaforest Reef salt, and the tanks have responded quite well. So that's been a bonus. I don't have to rely on getting deliveries of natural salt water. I can mix up that salt whenever I need, which has been a bonus. But we'll head on out and get a bit of a look at the renovated lounge room and where the new tank's going to go. All right, so you can come out here now. You can see that our new floors are in place and are looking really good. Our kitchen's mostly done. We've got the bench top done. We've got most of the cabinetry painted. We are just waiting for the splashbacks to be finished. But the new stand is in place over here. This is where it will sit. The tank will go on top of that, obviously, and then we'll have the cabinetry built up to the ceiling. This cornice, gyprock cornicing, will actually follow the cabinetry around, so it will look like the tank is built in there, and it's all going to be motorized, so the doors will open up at the press of a button or even on a voice command if we can work that part out. Now I've got my acrylic drip tray in there. I've still got my dedicated power circuit there. I've got the new water line in. I've got the automatic water change line in and out. I've got a drain line out, and I've got a line going through the wall for my calcium reactor gas bottle on the other side. Now I do have to put a hole in the wall over here to run the chiller lines through, and then I need to put the chiller out there and mount the cabinetry, build cabinetry around it so that the chiller is housed. Now, I know I talked about the sump plans, and there's been a couple of little changes to the sump plans. I'll show you and work through some of the things on screen with that, but mainly just to make everything fit in the way we originally wanted it to. Wasn't going to work out, so we've made some minor changes, but I think in the end it's actually going to work better. And there's one other thing here which I'll just open up for you. This won't be here all the time, obviously, but this is a new green screen. This is what happens when you're locked in the house for multiple weeks. You end up buying toys. So I had a little bit of feedback that people were getting sick of seeing that same photo behind me in all of my videos. So I've lashed out and bought a green screen so we can get some dynamic backgrounds happening. Should be pretty cool. All right, so that is about all that's happening so far. I do have the skimmer just about locked in. I've got a new calcium reactor just about locked in. I'm still working out what to do with lighting on this tank. I'm leaning towards Philips Coral Care Gen 2, but I'm still clinging on to metal halide because I love them and I've had such good results with them, and I'm a little dubious to just ditch them just yet, but we'll see how things go, you know what I mean? Having about a month to play with that Philips Coral Care Gen 2 was an incredible light, and I can just envision 3 of them mounted up here with some Kessels in between them. I also want to build a motorized light frame here so that not only will the cabinetry or the canopy, doors open up and have no frame in the way, but I also want the light frame to be able to lift up for full access to the tank, which will be pretty nifty. But that's probably all I've got going on here for the moment. I just thought I'd give you an update to show you where things are at. The tank is about a week to 2 weeks away from landing, and the sump's about the same time frame, maybe 2 to 3 weeks away for the sump. So in the next month, we're going to see a lot of updates on this tank, and I'm super excited to take you guys along for the journey. But anyway, that's enough from me. Thank you for tuning in. Till next time, stay safe, keep reefing. Cheers, guys. Bye.